Alright, so I'm Vikrmond, and what we're taking a look at here is the Starladder pool play period. Alright, so we had a bit of sorry, we had a bit of echo for a second there, but I think I fixed it now. So we're taking a look at a game between No Tidehunter and Fnatic, and these are two teams that are sort of gaining in prominence on the Western scene, so the North American, European scene of Dota. So No Tidehunter is a team that used to be, that is very, very strong. They've got a lot of good players. They picked up Loda fairly recently, so he was on an Asian team, a sort of Singapore-based team called Zenith, which was very strong, but now he's playing, I think, usually carries, but varied positions for No Tidehunter. And Fnatic is a team that was composed of players who were very, very strong in the Dota-like game Heroes of Newerth, but they sort of transferred over to Dota 2. Maybe they felt that it was a game with a better long-term future, or what have you. I don't know what their motivations are. But regardless, they've sort of they've only been together in Dota 2 for a fairly short time, but they've sort of gotten better and better during that time, and they're a very interesting team to watch. So we'll certainly be continuing to keep an eye out for them, and I think this is potentially a very, very good game here, because these are two pretty talented teams, definitely the upper rung of Western teams, and we'll sort of see what they go for here. So Fnatic has the first pick. They're on the Radiant side, and as they've sort of picked a non-traditional second ban. So what you see when teams do this is that they have a plan in mind that there is someone who usually gets banned in these first 4 bans that we want. So we'll ban a hero who's good, Rubik, with the intention that this frees up the ability to get an even more powerful hero. And in this case, they take Undying. Undying is an interesting choice. We've sort of seen Undying Star dim a tiny bit in I think the last few days. Sort of Dota, we're seeing a lot of pro play in Dota right now. We see a lot of games every day. So the metagame evolves pretty quickly, and so even as recently as maybe a week or two ago, Undying was a lock for these first 4 slots. But now, especially with the addition of Magnus to the upper echelon of picks, Undying no longer seems like a critical thing to have as your first pick. But, Fnatic go for him. He's still very, very, very good. One of the strongest team-fighting heroes in the game. But what's interesting is, because they banned Rubik, not only is Undying still in, but Templar Assassin is still in. And there's still some other very, very attractive heroes that haven't even been picked yet. So there's still Darkseer, there's still Wisp. We could very well see one of those heroes being picked up soon. So No Tidehunter end up going for the Templar Assassin and the Sven. So now they've got their carry player. They've got Sven, which will do the carrying. Most likely we'll see Loda on that. He'll deal a ton of damage in melee range, and he sort of cleaves and increases his damage further with God Strength, and he has a stun. And they have their mid. Templar Assassin is one of the absolute strongest mids, with the exception of possibly Batrider, and who knows, we recently saw Magnus do quite well against Templar Assassin, so he's, maybe one of the strongest solo mids as well. So No Tidehunter have their mid and their carry. Meanwhile, Fnatic are picking up sort of the best remaining heroes. So Jakiro is a hero who's pretty much never banned, because you don't want to ban him in the first 4 slots, and you definitely want him, so he always gets picked sort of in these first 6 picks. And then we have Darkseer. So Darkseer is also an extremely strong hero. He actually can optionally be placed mid to go up against Templar Assassin, although sometimes teams opt for a different mid. Darkseer is also extremely strong in the solo lane. He's maybe the best solo lane hero, or right up there with, again, Magnus. So those are options for Fnatic in terms of where they want to run this Darkseer. And so you can sort of see this Rubik ban has led to quite a different pick phase than usual. We sort of see a lot of these heroes like Darkseer, Undying, Templar Assassin all sort of sneak through because, they left that open by banning Rubik, who's still a good hero, but maybe not as in high demand as some of these heroes like Darkseer. No Tidehunter, meanwhile, picks up Lone Druid. This is sort of a tactical pick for their own team. Lone Druid would be unlikely to make it through these 3 bans that Fnatic had here. I'll tell you why. Even though Lone Druid has not been sort of a tier 1 hero in the metagame, in the terms of you don't see him in every single game, you do see him frequently in games with No Tidehunter, and the reason is, on their team they have this player, Admiral Bulldog. Admiral Bulldog is a very, very good player, but he's sort of what's called a Lone Druid specialist. So he, if at all possible, would like to play Lone Druid, and usually does. So they give him this sort of 3rd slot pick with the knowledge that with 3 additional bans, Fnatic might well decide, well, we want to lower Admiral Bulldog's effectiveness in this game specifically, so we'll take out the Lone Druid. The downside of being very, very good at one hero is if everybody knows you're good at one hero, they can sort of target you and either pick counters to your hero or just ban him out. But in this case, No Tidehunter spends the third pick to pick up that lone druid, so we will see Admiral Bulldog on that. He frequently plays it solo lane. He's very, very good. He's probably he's one of the best lone druids in the world easily, and definitely is really, really good at playing him in that solo lane and still getting a lot of farm against an opposing tri-lane or opposing team. So now we see the sort of second ban phase. So No Tidehunter has, what's most likely going to be their solo lane, their carry, and their mid. So if you're Fnatic, what you want to do now is ban out supports and junglers. So the people that sort of fill out the No Tidehunter composition. And so that's exactly what they're doing. They've sort of taken this Keeper of the Light, this sort of anti-pushing support character that's quite strong and sort of portals people around the map, which could be dangerous in concert with Templar Assassin or Sven, and the Enchantress, who's a strong jungler, who can slow, who can mind control creeps to give them a bit of pushing power. Enchantress's ability to mind control neutral jungle creeps in combination with Sven's ability to just deal tons of damage to towers with God Strength, and Lone Druid's ability to deal quite a bit of damage to towers, will give No Tidehunter an extremely strong mid-game pushing composition. And I think even without the Enchantress, we could let's be on the lookout for that. Let's see if No Tidehunter pick up something like a Chen and decide to just they'll go full on support, or even they could pick up something like an Enigma and sort of have the same idea. It's just something to keep an eye out for. Is this mid-game, not early game, not sort of very aggressive early game, but this sort of mid-game push that No Tidehunter can bring out. And so we actually do see the Chen ban. So you can see Fnatic see that there's this Sven, there's this Lone Druid, and the pushing potential of those with other heroes is so pronounced, and they actually pick the Enigma. So this fourth pick can sometimes be used as your sixth ban, because if you're afraid of the other team taking a hero, you can take him yourself. And that is exactly what Fnatic have done here. It's not that Enigma is bad in their composition. He's good in their composition, although it means that they still need a mid, essentially, although they'll probably run Darkseer mid at this point. But they still need a mid-ish character, and they still need a hard carry-ish character. So they've left themselves one fewer slot to do that, because it was so imperative for them to seize this Enigma, because they took out this Chen, they took out this Enchantress, and to really lock off the possibility of this extremely scary push from No Tidehunter, they had to also get the Enigma, but they didn't have any more bans. So they take the Enigma for themselves and think, well, we can make use of him. It's not that we can't. We'll just also pick that up. So No Tidehunter, meanwhile, banned out some great options for carries for Fnatic, these sort of mid-game dangerous carries that are dangerous both in terms of dealing magic damage and disables and running around and just being holy terrors. Night Stalker can be played as a carry, but he's even more frequently, he's sort of typically played as a mid, so they were like, well, we definitely don't want you running that Night Stalker mid. They were also afraid of maybe like a dual lane mid based on the Chaos Knight. These strength carries that are able to live through the damage that No Tidehunter can dish out and still deal a lot of counter damage to them. So they really wanted to take all of those out, and so they take out the Brewmaster to not get their characters disrupted. They take out the Night Stalker to not be very, very scared of roaming during the night, and they take out the Chaos Knight. So this sort of targeted strength carry debilitation from them, knowing that in Fnatic's first three picks, they didn't actually pick up a carry player. Sorry, a carry hero. So then, No Tidehunter ends up going with Disruptor. Disruptor is a support who's sort of getting more and more popular in the last week, I feel like. He used to be run as a counter to Anti-Mage, the carry, because he was able to glimpse him back, which moves people back in time. But Disruptor is good in a bunch of other contexts. His kinetic field ability in particular just ensures that somebody will stay in a certain radius, and that's very, very useful when you've got this extremely melee-focused composition. If you can ensure that the enemy team is clumped up, then you can ensure that they take a ton of damage from this Great Cleave from Sven, they take a ton of damage from this line damage Psyblades from Templar Assassin, and that Lone Druid is able to bring to bear his bear and himself as well. So that's sort of the reasoning for this Disruptor as a support. Now they're going to have to pick up another support, which is, and it'll be interesting to see what they end up going with here. They definitely do need another support player, and Enchantress and Chen would be perfectly ideal, but unfortunately they're not able to access them. Fnatic end up going with the hard carry Faceless Void. So Faceless Void is one of the most popular hard carry players currently. You maybe see him less often than you could because the game is so focused around mid-game aggression right now that people sort of eschew the carries that really, really need a ton of farm to be successful. But Fnatic feels confident enough that they're able to take this out. Now that they don't fear the push nearly as much from a No Tidehunter, they feel that they can actually get the map control and they can get the space for Aerie to get a lot of farm up in this Faceless Void. And we'll talk more about Faceless Void's other abilities later. No Tidehunter and the need for another support has decided to go with Lina. So Lina is essentially a character that you get if you want to ramp up your team's killing potential in the early to mid game. She is pure damage, essentially. She does have a pretty good crowd control ability on our light strike array. It takes wind up time, like it has a, you can see it says a 0.5 cast delay. Essentially you point at a place on the ground and half a second later your light strike array goes out. So that actually can be a double-edged sword, well, in the sense that it's good if it lands, but it's bad if it doesn't. However, with the help of Disruptor, with the help of Sven, maybe they feel that this Lina is actually going to be able to pull off these light strike arrays with not too much problem. Lina's other abilities are mainly just focused around dealing a ton of damage. So you can see they're going to have Aki on the Lina, and his Dragon Slave ability is just a column of flame that deals damage, and his Laguna Blade is an ultimate that just deals an incredible amount of damage right at one point, and he's also got this Fiery Soul to just ramp his speed and ability to chase and deal more damage. So No Tidehunter, maybe they intended that mid-game push, but Fnatic was very, very canny, very, very smart, and sort of saw what their drafting strategy was going to be with the Sven and the Lone Druid, and so they sort of banned out all the heroes and picked Enigma, and No Tidehunter was no longer able to pursue that avenue. So they were like, well, you know, what are the other strengths of our composition besides pushing? Well, we have the amazing damage that we can deal with Templar Assassin, who's an incredibly bursty character, with Sven, who does quite a bit of damage, and with Lone Druid, who when he gets farmed deals quite a bit of damage. Let's just let's keep people in place so that our melee characters can actually get to the fight and deal the damage. So that's the point of this Disruptor. And then let's blow them away with this additional damage that we can provide with Lina. And Lina's always an exciting character to watch in games because she is able to just deal all that damage, and she's just it's always fun to see somebody get ripped apart by a Laguna Blade, and hopefully we'll see that a couple times this game. Meanwhile, Fnatic's plan is a little more just hyper-focused on the idea that since we were able to deny the push, and since we have so much good team-fighting heroes, so we've got this Undying to slow them down, his Tombstone, each zombie that it spawns will actually slow the targets, so they won't be able to get around. We'll be able to misposition them with Vacuum. We can turn them against themselves with this Wall of Replica ultimate that Darkseer has, and we can always, if needed, pull off this huge ultimate combination between the Black Hole, which will keep people in place on the Enigma, and the Macropyre, which will just deal a ton of damage in a line from Jakiro. We know that most of No Tidehunter's damage is coming out via melee. Even with the addition of this Lina, Templar Assassin is a short-range character. Sven is a melee character. Lone Druid's Bear is melee, and once he goes his true form, which he usually does, he's going to be melee as well. We can play keep away with all the kiting that we have in the form of this Undying, Jakiro, Darkseer to make our characters faster, and we can just not take too much damage from them. Plus, while they're all clumped up, our anti-clumping abilities will just ravage them entirely. This Decay will steal a lot of their strength in a target area. The Macropyre and Dual Breath and Ice Path and Liquid Fire, all these area denial abilities on this Jakiro will come into play. And we've still got Trixie and No Tail and Era will sort of just mop up and get his farm. Faceless Void is also good against teams that clump up, so it's another good pick from Fnatic, because his ultimate, Chronosphere, will disable everything within a certain radius for a long period of time. So if No Tidehunter do end up really clumped up, Era can just drop the Chronosphere on them, deal an incredible quantity of damage in that area, and then No Tidehunter will just, have to disengage from that point or face even more wrath from Fnatic. So both these lineups are good. I feel like Fnatic probably got the better of this draft, which is not to say that they're going to win. Anything could happen, really. But definitely their game plan sort of didn't change from pick 1 to pick 5, whereas No Tidehunter had to make what could end up being a fairly awkward pivot. So things to watch out for during this game is definitely, is this Jakiro able to deny No Tidehunter the ability to actually get in and deal a ton of damage? Is Undying able to survive long enough to get the levels to really be a huge contribution in teamfights? Because if he is, I think No Tidehunter could be in a lot of trouble. Meanwhile, on No Tidehunter's end, will they be able to just get these mid-game damage fights where they pick off the heroes of Fnatic before they're actually able to do anything? If you kill that Jakiro early with something like a Laguna Blade, he's not going to be able to actually do what maybe he wanted to do. And if you're able to sort of pick off this Undying early and really get good mobility with your team, then, you're not really living in fear of getting taken down by the teamfight potential of Fnatic anymore. The other thing to look out for No Tidehunter is, will they be able to get the try farm that they want? Because they want items on Lone Druid. They definitely want items on Sven, and they really want items on Templar Assassin. All three of these heroes need to have mobility. They probably need to have magic immunity, so in the form of the BKB, maybe not Lone Druid, but definitely Templar Assassin and Sven will need their Black King bars to prevent them from taking magic damage. And they're going to need damage. So the thing to watch out for on No Tidehunter's end is, are they able to secure those things? So interesting wards. We actually see a very defensive ward on this side of the river from Fnatic. They're very scared of No Tidehunter's level 1 team fighting potential, so they didn't want to go in here and sort of plant wards and the sort of aggressive spots that you sometimes see. So they decided to place very, very defensive wards here and here, sort of make sure that they don't give up first blood very, very early. So we do end up seeing the Darkseer in the middle, by the way. Meanwhile, on No Tidehunter's end, you can see they relatively felt very confident about where they could ward and how they could play at level 1, and so they put a ward up here, very aggressive spot, and sort of gives vision of all this area here, and they put a ward here to sort of see this lane and ensure that Loda gets lots of farm on the Sven. So, in terms of laning, we end up seeing Trixie in the mid. We've seen Darkseer mid recently as a counter to Templar Assassin. The reason you do it is because Templar Assassin has Refraction, which blocks instances of damage, which can block a ton of damage, or it can block a piddling amount of damage that's delivered very quickly, as Darkseer is able to do with his Ion Shell. So that's why we sort of see this matchup. It's rare that Darkseer is actually able to out-farm TA by too much, but he's able to pressure her and do a lot of damage. And S4 is going to take quite a bit of damage here. So Trixie's doing a very good job of pressuring S4. He's going to take a ton of damage here. Yeah, wow. So Trixie doing a great job so far down here. So up here we see the tri-lane of No Tidehunter, and this is sort of what we expected. The two supports, so you've got Ake on the Lina and Eternal Envy on the Disruptor, are supporting the Sven, who's just going to go straight up. Is he holding someone else's magic stick? Well, I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. But Loda's going to be on that Sven, and he's just going to be farming, because they do need farm on those three characters. And so down here, what they're going to do is run Admiral Bulldog solo Lone Druid, which is very, very common for him. It's one of his styles. What he'll do is he'll use the Spirit Bear, and you see it has the poor man's shield on it already to give him some instances of damage block. It's going to go right up in the grill, so to speak, of these creeps, and he's going to pull them to himself behind this tower, or wherever else that he can sort of pick them off. So that gives him it denies the ability of Fnatic to control this lane, and it allows him to get his farm. And it's really tough to do anything about this bear early. It has so much HP. It has 1400 HP at level 1. Lone Druid himself only has 530, so you can imagine how hard it is to actually bring this bear down and stop it from being able to run these sort of sabotage routes. So, meanwhile, Era, however, is really not... This is what you sort of do as Lone Druid off lane. The flip side is, you're really not going to be able to come up and do too much harassment to Era. So Era is going to have a pretty safe early game. He has gone a pretty safe build where he has the Time Walk rank 2, allows him to sort of blink away from any trouble. He's got the Backtrack rank 1, which gives him a 10% chance to dodge any sort of damage, including magic damage. And so he's going to get good farm. He's going to be happy down here. And, Sven is obviously going to get great farm up here. He's going to be quite happy. What's actually interesting is that Fnatic, I didn't quite... They do end up running the Undying solo lane. So you see this sometimes, and JK is going to play it. However, he's going to have to play extremely conservatively. I'm actually not sure how much XP even he's going to be able to soak up, and that's kind of unfortunate. So bad news for Fnatic is that this top lane is going to be very, very tough for them to get anything done. Not only will they not be... Undying doesn't really have the option of taking his bear and just getting farm like Admiral Bulldog is. So Admiral Bulldog will be able to keep up in levels relatively by using clever tactics. But it's going to be very, very tough for JK to get any farm at all. I almost think he should not go top at all, and they should just run 0 people up here and sort of neuter the effectiveness of the tri-lane just by virtue of having nobody around to kill. Because if JK comes up, he doesn't even have his tombstone yet. He's going to get locked down by... There's no kinetic field yet, but definitely he's going to get glimpsed. That was solely to get the rune and make sure that JK doesn't get the rune. He's going to get glimpsed. He's going to get storm hammered. That storm hammer, because it keeps people in place for 2 seconds, is going to be followed up with light strike array, and there's just no way he's going to live through that. So I don't know what exactly JK actually expects to get here, but he hasn't gotten XP in a while, and I don't think he will get it for a while either. So Fnatic have essentially two lanes worth of good news, or at least even news. Yeah, even news essentially in the middle. We've got 18 hits each for Darkseer and Templar Assassin, so very, very even here. Temple Assassin is bottle ferrying. So essentially, what's happening here is that S4 doesn't feel confident enough that he can beat Darkseer to the runes, which certainly before level 6 is true. Darkseer can go maximum movement speed for 4.5 seconds with the Surge ability, which essentially is enough time to just scuttle over here, get the rune, and almost get back before the haste expires. So, although actually, is he bottle ferrying too? Yeah, it's funny because so S4 doesn't feel confident that he can get to the runes before Darkseer, and he feels like he needs to stay mid. So what he's doing is he's drinking his bottle all the way down, then giving the bottle to the courier, and then the courier goes back, fills it in the fountain, comes back and gives it back to him. So it's called bottle crowing or bottle ferrying. So S4 feels like he needs to do that. However, Trixie on the Darkseer also feels like he can't secure the runes, and if he can, he doesn't want to get away from this lane. So neither of them want to get away from this lane. Consequently, Trixie is also ferrying his bottle back to the fountains. That's interesting. The downside of bottle ferrying is, this has 2 sets of boots on it, and neither of those boots are actually going out to the players because it's too busy taking this bottle to and from the Darkseer. So we've got the tri lane down here for Fnatic. We've got Enigma sort of getting farm in the jungle. He actually has his level 6 already, which is fantastic. He has that black hole. That's very, very key for him. And Jakiro's doing the hard support role of just, make sure Era gets his farm and pull creeps from the jungle to the lane when you have time. So interesting play all around so far. Do we sort of see Darkseer starting to get a little bit of advantage in the middle? Actually, I think No Tidehunter got tired of the courier always ferrying bottles. They actually made him go and get his rune. That's haste. That could be dangerous. We could see some damage coming out from that. It's unlikely that they're actually going to be able to pick off Darkseer in the middle with that haste rune, but he could go to another lane and try to get a pick off. And we just got great farm from both Era in the bottom lane. They're actually pressuring this tower a bit as well, and Loda in the top lane. So we see, neck and neck, both heroes essentially facing 0 opposition. So you see both of them, they're not going to miss many last hits. If they miss a last hit, it's going to be a weird event. But we do see Fnatic trying to get an early advantage by pressuring this tower. So No Tidehunter is going to react. They're not just going to let them take it for free. They will let them take it, but they're going to farm. They're going to put one in here. They're going to have the TA come from behind. He's going to pop his slow. He's going to go in. He's going to try to kill Flemish Negel. However, I don't think he can do it. They are bringing more people up. You see Ake ported over. You see Admiral Bulldog. Yeah, they actually brought both supports over, but it's not quite enough. Fnatic are able to retreat in a very, very smart way. So they actually do end up seizing the tower for free. The immediate response to that TA coming in and popping the trap, which slows, and then trying to kill Flemish Nickel was very smart. They were just like, nope, we're going to turn right around. We're going to stun you as much as possible. We're going to make you too scared to pursue this any further. Trixie is actually being very, very optimistic here. He can get out with his Surge, most likely. Oh, his Surge is actually down. Oh, wow. Oh, I feel really bad for missing that first blood. That's pretty bad. Essentially what happened there, very cool stuff, actually, but what happened is, as soon as Ake and Eternal Envy go down to try to get the kills here, JK knows, okay, this is my moment. No Tail, after you escape, why don't you come up here and we can kill Loda? So they pop the black hole, which keeps Loda in place for a very long time, and now Loda doesn't have the support to really disrupt this attack at all. Consequently, they get the tombstone damage, they get JK's damage, and that's fantastic for JK because, that gives them the XP he needs to actually get on the board. However, we're going to have a port in here from Loda. This might actually be dangerous. They might have pressed this too far. Yeah, No Tail will die. And JK, will he get out? Does he have a TP? He actually gets the tower, so that's excellent. He should port. No, it's too late. Now he'll just die. So he does manage to get the tower. Unfortunately, he will go down. Oh, I still... Nope. Oh, wow. And Trixie's still in here, so he actually manages to pick off Disruptor in the back. Excellent work from him. And wow. He has so much damage right now. He's high level is what the thing is. He's level 8. He's able to do this Ion Shell. He has the double damage rune. And Trixie, very, very smart there. So Fnatic just taking calculated aggression and calculated risks. And the fact that now at No Tidehunter up here means that they can pressure down here. So Fnatic is taking actually a very, very commanding lead, although it looks like they're only up 1 kill lead, because they've cleared out this entire lane's worth of towers, they've cleared out this tower here, and there hasn't really been a fight that they've lost. It looked like they were sort of overreaching after killing Sven up here, but they actually get the tower. They do lose Trixie and No Tail. They do lose JK and No Tail, the Undying and the Enigma, so it seemed like, oh, that's overreach. But then tricks it because he's so mobile, and he had the double damage rune, was able to go in and clean up. And this Darkseer is doing right now. He's actually going to build a mechanism first. So he's got this buckler. He just built a second buckler. A second buckler has hit the Darkseer. No, so he is building mechanism. So he's building a fairly defensive build. Even though he's so far ahead on farm, he doesn't want to sort of overreach and be like, I'm going to carry this game, because you're really not. You already have somebody that's going to carry the game. That's Era. So you don't really need to. So you can go that mechanism to give your team a very early mechanism, like at 10 minutes, gives your team such a huge advantage because, okay, they have a lot of damage, but we can just go right up against that damage. Oh, and S4 is going to get trapped. He can't escape this ring. This is what Kinetic Field does. And wow, they actually... Oh, that's a miscommunication. Okay. I thought they were actually going to glimpse S4 out of the Chronosphere there, but it didn't take for whatever reason. Thank goodness, because that would have been very, very bleak. They actually popped the Chronosphere to take down S4, which is smart. You know, you want to keep that TA down. She does already have her phase boots, which is pretty good, and she's quite farmed, so it makes sense to use whatever you want to actually get her down. Missed Light Strike array in the middle here. Okay, does have his ult, so we can definitely keep an eye out for that. One interesting thing about this ult is that it can be backtracked by Void. So sometimes as Lina, you'll be like, yeah, I can kill this Void, no problem. Loda's really out of position there. And you just don't, because he backtracks it. So I think Fnatic are seizing quite a bit of control of this game. They almost are in way better shape at this point than they would expect to be. You know, what they wanted was not to be behind in terms of towers, and instead they're quite a bit ahead in terms of towers. They're going to seize another tower here, almost certainly. And, you know, JK, after a very, very slow start from being in a lane where he couldn't do anything, basically, as soon as there was enough pressure accumulated on other parts of the map for him to get free, he started doing extremely well. So it's just very, very patient play from him. And Era, you know, doing quite well as well. He's going a very, very late game focused build. So he's gotten the Hand of Midas. Hand of Midas is essentially a signal saying, I will spend gold now to have better farm later. So it doesn't do that much for me now. It gives me attack speed. Void really, really likes attack speed because he's got this chance to proc time lock on each of his attacks. And especially when you're in Chronosphere. So the time lock is just at this point, it's a 10% chance to deal 50 damage. At max rank, it's a 25% chance on each hit to deal 70 damage. But what's notable is that time lock deals double damage to people that are in Chronosphere. So one of the reasons attack speed is so good on Void, and why you frequently see things like Mask Up Madness, is you know, if you're able to proc a lot of time locks on targets when they're under that Chronosphere, you've essentially won that fight. Once you've killed two people in a Chronosphere, like how are they going to fight you 3 vs 5 after that? So what he's done is he's sort of gone the Hand of Midas. It gives some attack speed, but the main thing it does is it consumes creeps, and the item itself costs 1900, but on a 100-second cooldown you get on a 60 or 100-second cooldown you get 190 gold. So after 10 minutes or so, you've sort of made back the gold that you spent on it. More like 18 minutes, but what have you. So that's what he's sort of done. He's sort of wagered gold now that he'll get through to the late game, which seems likely now. It seems likely that Void will reach a point at which he's big enough to cause trouble. Because, you know, they do have such control of the map now that they know this game is going to go for at least X more minutes or what have you. And the next thing he's building after that is actually a Yasha, so he might go Manta style. Manta style is not that common of a first item on Void, but it's still really good. It gives him damage, it gives him attack speed, it gives him a little bit of armor, and it lets him just sort of split himself up and get illusions. And also shucks some, like it can shuck slows and certain other types of debuffs. So they smoke. They're going to chase Loda here and S4. I don't know if they'll kill him. Oh, they do land that stun. That's great. Oh, Loda's still on the run. I think he might be able to escape. Oh, and there's the slow. He's got the slow from the Void Blink. So Void Blink also slows people it passes through. Loda's going to try to pull off a stun, but now he's just dead. Very, very good play from Fnatic. They're cutting off all avenues of escape, ensuring that their smoke gank, even though it didn't look immediately that great, would actually have the desired result. So good work from them there. And now we see and No Tidehunter taking a strange sort of route through the jungle here. I don't know if they think they can get a pick off. It's more likely that they just, this is the safe area of the map. They really... No Tidehunter are in a position now where they sort of have to avoid fights if they can. They want to do something like counter push. Like if they see Fnatic pushing, they can take another part of the map and push this. So that's what they're doing right now. They may very well lose this tier 2 tower, but there's not that much they can do about it. And consequently, they're just going to go another thing. It's just No Tidehunter cannot fight 5 vs 5 right now. There's still this Chronosphere. There's the threat of all their damage getting wiped out by this early mechanism, and even after that, you know, there's this option to get the black hole. There's going to be a tombstone slowing you all, and just there's very little they can do. What they can do is defend tier 3, because they have this additional advantage of the high ground and the very defensible position here. And in fact, I mean, they have to defend tier 3. And they do get the tower here, so that's a 1-for-1 tower trade. Wow, Fnatic is feeling good. They're really pressuring this tower. I think they just think they can deal damage to this. I'm not sure if they think that they can actually win the game right here. Yeah, they're just harassing this tower. And they do a decent chunk of damage to it. It's down about, you know, down to about 2/3 of its HP, so already Fnatic doing quite a bit of threat to No Tidehunter's inner sanctum here. And this is really the effect of the draft you see here, is that Fnatic drafted a team that, as long as the Darkseer was able to get good farm, they would have a pretty commanding presence, and they would get the time necessary to get the Void up. So wow, now they wager a lot for Admiral Bulldog. They will not need the Chronosphere. He is completely locked in place. All these conversions, this Centaur Khan, which was actually helping the cause a little bit. I think the Centaur Khan actually stunned Admiral Bulldog, because when there's 3 mobs around it, that creep will stun. So, and the locks from Time Lock were able to completely lock down Admiral Bulldog. He was trying to port out, but in response, they just used the black hole, which is gutsy. I mean, it's a 180-second cooldown, but they felt confident enough that, you know, we want that. Now, meanwhile, No Tidehunter are trying to get farm anyway they can. They had a stacked Ancient Creep camp here, which is good work by their supports, and Loda and S4 managed to clear through it. Now, Loda's doing well, too. He's actually, he sort of correctly surmised that this game is going later than maybe No Tidehunter might want normally, so he actually went the Midas as well. So, in order to maintain farm parity with this Void, and they are at a shocking degree of parity. So 87 last hits for both of them. Basically the same number of denies. Now, Loda's last hits have come more from these Ancient Creeps, so he has a gold advantage there, but Void has gotten more kills. I wonder what their gold per minute is like. Yeah, so Void's ahead just by virtue of them being up 7-2. But just, it's crazy how 2 very, very good farming players, just how close are they at this 16-minute mark? Just incredibly, incredibly close. So, Eternal Envy and S4 are very scared there that the Void had support. They sort of had to pop the Disruptor ultimate just to silence him in order to make sure he didn't cast his Chronosphere early, and then glimpse him so he was too far away to cast the glimpse. So, very smart play. You had to spend a Disruptor ult to do it, but Disruptor ult is on a fairly short cooldown for an ultimate. It's only 85 seconds. And they managed to keep S4 from dying. So, No Tidehunter really needs to just staunch the bleeding here. They can't have Loda or S4 keep dying. And this is just the little bear is going to get pounded. Oh yeah, this bear is done for. R.I.P. bear. Ah, well, this is the great thing about Spirit Bear, right? 3,000 health basically. It takes ages to actually kill it. Now, I don't know. Well, he has a 30-second cooldown before he can put it again. But definitely, Lone Druid without his bear is a lonely bear indeed. And they're just doing the same thing. So we see the same thing we just saw. Fnatic is pushing a tier 2. In response, No Tidehunter pushes a tier 1. But this time, it's a little different. They do manage to bring JK back, sort of scare No Tidehunter and going back. They actually probably could have pressed the issue and gotten that, but instead, you know, now they have an unopposed tower. So the last outer tower for No Tidehunter goes down. Fnatic is able to take it, and No Tidehunter has very little response that they can actually do. They have placed these somewhat aggressive jungle wards. They're trying to secure their farm in this jungle. Certainly, they no longer have the run of this jungle. We got this ward up here, which sees a very, very large radius, something like this. And so Fnatic are really able to deny No Tidehunter the ability to farm in their own jungle. So No Tidehunter are like, okay, fine, we'll farm your jungle. And we'll still keep farming these ancient camps. We'll stack them whenever we can, and we'll sort of see if we can make sure that our 3 farm heroes get their farm. Now, Admiral Bulldog hasn't really been able to. He only has 1,800 static gold on him. I'm not sure what's on the bear. Where is that bear at? Where is bear? Here is bear. So bear has a Midas. You can see this sort of Midas-heavy approach to No Tidehunter. Like, we need farm on 3 heroes. So we got to get that farm, and the way we're going to do it is we're going to Midas when we can. So definitely smart in the sense that they do need that farm. So we got the armlet on Sven. Because he has the Hand of Midas, when you get Hand of Midas, you typically don't also get Mask of Madness, just because they sort of both give you attack speed, and sort of it's like, okay, I fixed my attack speed problem. I no longer need to worry about getting that mask. You might see both of them, either one or both of them, Void or Sven, pick it up later, but for now they're going to eschew that and just go for their other items. So Armlet, very, very good on Sven. It's especially helping him farm these ancient camps. And so he sort of picked that up. However, Fnatic are feeling good enough that they're going to take Roshan. I'm pretty sure, yeah, they know. So they're actually using the courier to spot the high ground. They've got this sentry ward that reveals invisible units like the ward, but they can't actually see because they don't have a normal ward up here. So they use the courier to spot for it. So No Tidehunter know what's going on here. They have a very, very good idea, but they still just don't feel good enough to actually go in on them. And they actually pick off the courier. But great job by S4 actually picking up that courier. They know that it was doing that spotting, so they ward again and just gets picked off again because now they have a ward up here. So Era is just freely smacking down this Roshan. I wonder if, I mean, No Tidehunter are just standing here. Surely they do have to go in. Oh, so they just popped the mechanism. We could see them go in after mechanism, thinking, okay, their mechanism is gone. We're gonna get it. They can't just sit here and let this happen, though. Either go in or just like leave. You can't just sit. Oh, Templar Assassin was invis, but there's a sentry ward here. They're going to CS4. They're going to go on him. Now they're going in. Now we've got No Tidehunter finally awaking. But it's too late to actually prevent the Roshan. The Faceless Void gets it. He's going in. He's got the Chronosphere up. Loda's going to die. Admiral Bulldog Coldwell die. We got the Mantis Style. We've got the Black Hole. Admiral Bulldog's going to go down. S4 is in the backside of play. He doesn't manage to pick off the Jakiro. We've got the Dark Seer wall down. We've got JK running around. Almost picks off Era, although he would have still had the Aegis, but the Lundra Bear is able to deal quite a bit of damage. And now Trixie's in quite a bit of trouble. He's being chased by 3. He's being chased by Ake, S4, and Internal Envy. The upside of these guys being together is that none of them died, and they're now able to deal tons of damage to Trixie. Great blink from S4 to take down Trixie. The downside was they were not able to help out Admiral Bulldog and Loda on Sven. Those guys both die. You lose your Lone Druid. You lose your Sven. Lone Druid falls even further behind. Lone Druid might almost be at the frontier when he no longer even... Well, no, he's still going to get Radiance. Radiance is the most common item on Lone Druid. You put it on the bear, you run the bear around. The bear can't attack if it's too far away from Lone Druid. But what the bear can do is Radiance burn no matter how far away it is from Lone Druid. And now, No Tidehunter's pride and joy, their opportunity to farm these Ancients, is being stolen by Era. So he is now going to ramp up quite a bit in terms of farm. They leave, so they're a little scared. I think they thought maybe they'd get S4, but they didn't. But they do manage to pick off a lot of these Ancients that No Tidehunter has spent so much time and care actually stacking. And 3 separate wards died over here for No Tidehunter, so that's very unfortunate. And now we've got this sort of Catapult versus Golem battle. That's interesting. I don't think Catapult is going to take this one. I think Catapult is almost certainly not going to take this one. Anyway, so tough times for No Tidehunter. I think they were maybe discussing amongst themselves, should we try to intercept this Roshan? Should we not try to intercept this Roshan? And they sort of couldn't decide, and so when they did actually end up going for the disruption was only when their hand was forced by the fact that Templar Assassin was under target here, because there was the sentry ward at the low ground and he sort of picked up the invisibility rune. And consequently, maybe the engagement time wasn't ideal. They could have been spent the entire time farming if they didn't think they could disrupt the Roshan, and they could have tried to more effectively steal the Roshan kill in the Aegis if they had sort of gone earlier. So as a result, they sort of get neither. They do manage to pick up a couple kills, but they also lose a couple kills. The kills they pick up are they killed Jakiro, who's a support, and I think they killed Trixie, but he already has his mechanism. And they lost Sven, who's their number one farmer. Now it's S4 for the time being, but they lost Sven and they lost Lone Druid. So not great. Definitely not good to lose Roche and not really get the best of the melee that follows and not take off the Aegis. But No Tidehunter situation is not hopeless. Sooner or later they're going to have to find some sort of solution for this Faceless Void. His ability to sort of, Manta and his great farm that he's getting and the Aegis is definitely very, very, very dangerous. And that combo ultimate that we saw with the additional damage from the Black Hole and what have you is also very, very dangerous. But I think if No Tidehunter are able to just keep slowing this game down, ensure that the situation doesn't get any worse in terms of their tier 3s being picked off, and are able to continue getting farm on S4 and hopefully on Loda, they can sort of deal enough damage to disrupt Fnatic's plans at any given time. So S4 is doing a good job. He's sort of finding the spots on the map that are fairly safe. They do have the ward here, so that gives them a bit of vision of what's actually going on. S4 can see if there's trouble incoming. This is their one tower down. This is the one tower of Fnatic's that they've managed to pick off. So they have that additional bit of map control that ensures that this area is not totally unsafe for them. Whereas this area is quite unsafe in the sense that Fnatic can run in here, or they can sort of go around here and pick you off. Whereas they really have just one path down here, and you'll sort of see way before it happens. So S4 is sort of finding the one locus on the map where he can get some farm, and you can see he's building BKB. I would definitely expect BKBs. Yeah, we've got all of, insofar as they're able to build items, No Tidehunter's carries are building BKBs. So you don't want those decays affecting you. You definitely don't want this sort of Malefice, all of the Jakiro spells. BKB is very important for them, but the problem for No Tidehunter is that even after BKB, they're still under threat by a lot of what Fnatic can put out. So it doesn't matter if you're BKB'd when you're affected by a Chronosphere. You'll be Chronosphered all the same, and Void can kill you and waste most of your BKB time. At the very least, he can waste your BKB time. At best, he can kill you. Jakiro obviously is almost entirely shut down by BKB, but even if you're BKB'd, Enigma can still black hole you. And so if he black holes you, you can't move. Sure, you don't take damage, but you can't move during that entire time. And now, half of your BKB time is used up. And you see Enigma actually has his BKB as well. So that's very, very good for him. Obviously, No Tidehunter is able to sort of disrupt his black hole with a bunch of stuns. They get stunned with the Svenstorm Hammer. They get stunned with Light Strike Array from Ake, and Enigma doesn't move when he's channeling black hole, so it's very easy to land. And they could glimpse him. There's a bunch of options that they could do, but not if he's BKB'd. If he's BKB'd, their really only hope to disrupt that black hole is an Entangle proc from the Lone Druid Spirit Bear. The bear actually has a chance on each hit to land a stun. So that could actually go through the BKB of Enigma, but that's a very corner case situation that might not actually end up happening. And so this BKB is a huge threat to No Tidehunter in the sense that you guys can have BKBs, but we still have up to 4 plus 4.5, eventually 5. We still have up to like 9 seconds of disable that we can use on you through BKB. So if Sven pops his BKB and he has like when he's done with it, which is pretty soon, he's about 1,000 gold away from his BKB. If he pops it, okay, it lasts 10 seconds the first time you use it. If you're disabled for 9 of those seconds, that's effectively like 1 second of actual BKB time. So definitely a tough situation for No Tidehunter to find their way out of. They're still going to have to... So Lotus says, first game of the day, and you bully me. And that's true, he's definitely getting bullied. He's done a good job getting farmed nonetheless, but 0-4 is a tough start for Sven. He's really a threatening character early generally, and to start 0-4 is kind of unfortunate. And I mean, yeah, Faceless Void is at the run of the place with his 2-0 start, so definitely a big threat coming out from Fnatic there. So what is No Tidehunter's game plan? And it really is just try to slow the game down and try to get these 3 heroes farmed up to the point where they're an actual threat. So it still looks like Admiral Bulldog would like Radiance if he can get it. So you see, whenever you see a Lone Druid hoarding this much gold, you usually want Radiance earlier in the game, but even at this stage, if a Lone Druid is holding, say, 3,400 gold, the only item in Dota that costs more than 3,400 gold, I mean, okay, so sometimes people hold money for buyback, but the only item that costs this much is the Sacred Relic. And so if we take a look at Sacred Relic, it's a plus 60 damage item, and it builds into 3 things. It builds into Abyssal Blade, it builds into Radiance, and it builds into Divine Rapier. So if you see somebody holding this much gold, especially a Lone Druid, it's because, okay, I want to go for Radiance. So even though it's a little late, if you get an early Radiance, it's just extremely strong in teamfights because it's 45 burn damage, and when people's health is still low, 45 every couple seconds is a lot. Whereas, as the game progresses and everybody gets more and more HP, maybe the Radiance isn't quite as threatening anymore. But it's still good on Lone Druid. It gives him a lot more farm capacity because he can sort of put the bear anywhere and it'll just burn things down while he sort of farms in a different place. And it's still good in teamfights just because the bear is so survivable. It's still by far the most survivable unit on the map in this stage. Later on, your bear gets in trouble because it has no magic protection, it can be stunned, etc. But at 23 minutes, the bear is still the toughest thing to kill on the map, essentially. So you can make sure that it lives and actually is able to deal a lot of Radiance damage. They're saying, please, good game. It's a reference to at this point, it's a reference to a player called PGG, which stands for Please Good Game. So we are going to resume. So No Tidehunter's plan is we need this BKB on Sven. We need this BKB on Templar Assassin. We probably need this Radiance on Lone Druid. And ideally, if we can avoid a team fight before all those things line up, that would just be peachy. So they will definitely try to play keep away and just try to get farm where they can. You can see that S4 is playing extremely defensively. Even though they have the ward here, there's still the fear that Fnatic could jump on us any moment. And at this stage, if they jump on us, we will lose that fight. We will not be able to escape, and we will lose, which we can't really afford to lose any more fights. So let's get farm where we can. Let's do this jungle. Let's keep stacking these camps. Loda is able to use his armlet to sort of farm these fairly quickly, get a lot of farm here, and that'll sort of help him rocket towards his... Oh, no. They do manage to get picked off here. So they do land a great stun from Ake, but Chronosphere goes up. Enormous damage from Era. It's still just the supports, so if you're No Tidehunter, you'd rather lose the supports than the not supports, but still painful. You get caught out, you take a ton of damage. Void, did he pick up those kills? He picks up one of those kills, so more farm for the Void. Definitely not a great position to be in. Loda now has to be set running. They're pushing down the middle. I think No Fnatic might try to force the issue. Loda actually finishes his BKB, so there's that as Ancient stack, right? Ancients just give you far more gold than any other type of mob, so definitely good for Loda to actually pick up that BKB. Getting to the point where they start feeling a little more comfortable. So Fnatic are not going to push the issue just yet. They're going to blink in. Excellent blink. He finds S4. He uses the Midnight Pulse to get rid of the trees, and now S4 is in a world of hurt. They don't actually have detection for him yet, so he might be able to blink out of this. They know where he is. Yeah, excellent blink. However, wow, this positioning from JK. Just right where he would have blinked to. And now S4 is going down. Now they've got the Sentry Ward. That's not good for them. Did he finish the BKB? He does manage to buy the items for the BKB just as he's about to die, because he doesn't think he's going to buy back, and he's going to lose too much gold to actually be able to afford the BKB after he dies. So, and this is a trick you can do at home, is if I'm about to die and I'm really close to one of my items, try to buy the item before you die, so that, you know, you can have it when you come back up. Now, sometimes you need to save the gold for buyback, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes you can just be like, okay, or you won't have enough gold for buyback, and you can just be like, okay, I need to finish this item. It's critical. So the fact that you just killed me doesn't actually matter that much, because I still finished the item that I needed. So now No Tidehunter is sort of at the point where they're like, okay, we are going to get pressured into doing a fight, and now we feel a little better about it. We just pushed down another tower, so they managed to pick up this tower here. We will have Templar Assassin up in 10 seconds, which is great, because we're going to need him. Fnatic is doing their GG push here. Well, not their GG, but they're at least Rax push. They put down the Tombstone, so that if No Tidehunter go on them, these zombies are going to immediately start spawning. We've got Templar Assassin coming in. He immediately gets stunned by the Jakiro Ice Path. He gets vacuumed in. He has popped his BKB, and we're off. So we've got the kinetic field down from Disruptor and the Static Storm, but it doesn't hit anybody, and this black hole is tearing through them right now. JK is getting taken down by Loda. Loda's popped his BKB. Era does manage to pop his Chronosphere before Loda's able to do too much damage, and now we got the Macro Power down. Luckily, Loda's still in BKB. BKB expires, and now the image is up. Loda's still walking through the Macro Power. He's taking a ton of damage, but he's able to fight Flammashekal. Darkseer buys back. Void's Chronosphere was used. We do have Radiance up on the spare, so Bulldog is in the back doing a lot of damage. They glimpse Void back. Arrow's going to go down here. He does take the Sven stun. The Sven stun will follow you even if you blink. Kinetic field's up. They've trapped Era. Era goes down. So you can see now No Tidehunter is online. And so the instant they got those items, they're like, yes, now is when we fight. Now is when we feel threatening. We will fight you. And that fight went well for them, and it could have gone even better. The first kinetic field in the Static Storm didn't really go in on anything and do too much damage, but they sort of were still able to sort of seize command and threaten the Void so much that even through the Chronosphere and through the Macro Power, he really was not able to just take down the entire team the way he's been able to earlier in the game. So definitely a vastly more favorable fight for No Tidehunter than what they had before. So they're definitely much happier to sort of see that sort of situation. And now they're going to keep trying to play slow. So I think Fnatic they shouldn't panic, but they definitely should feel like, wow, the character of this game and the character of these team fights just changed quite a bit with the addition of these two BKBs and this Radiance. And just such careful timing, right? Like, No Tidehunter sort of almost knew the exact point at which all three of their heroes would get the items that they needed to sort of take themselves to the next level. The timing of the Templar Assassin BKB, and the timing of the Sven BKB, and the timing of the Lone Druid Radiance were so well synchronized that it's just, I mean, it's great to see, and it's something you really only see at the professional level, is teams that are just able to time that farm and those item additions just so well. But I think even considering that, and even considering the fact that Loda and S4 have been able to pick up so much creep farm, they're still in a lot of trouble. They do end up having to use the Templar Assassin BKB here, and Templar Assassin might die before this is over. Void has picked up a BKB as well. S4 gets taken down. This is tough. This is tough. Oh, but that damage from Sven. Incredible damage from Loda there, and he's going in. He's still furious. We do actually, Undying pops his Ghost Scepter. This is a very smart pickup. It makes him immune to physical damage for the duration. So he manages to save himself. However, Trixie will die. He gets Glimpse. He gets taken down by Loda. Loda's terrifying right now. We saw, Jakira gets taken down by the Lina ult as well. So there's that Laguna Blade. There's that big Laguna Blade that we saw. That fight is one where Fnatic felt that starting out that they were going to be able to pick off S4, and they were just going to be able to steamroll off of that. But that was completely wrong. They lose 3 heroes. Void gets in a lot of trouble. And that's the thing. Sven, at this stage, and with the BKB up, is just able to deal so much unanswered damage. And now he's got lifesteal on top of it too, with the Helm of the Dominator. Now he can stack his own creep camps, and he gets lifesteal on his incredible cleaving damage. So you just see, with these items that teams are picking up, the game can turn on a dime. So even though they lose S4 without him being able to do anything, the amount that Fnatic had to wager to actually get S4 down, mostly the Chronosphere on a single target, was so much that it set them behind in all the other respects. And so in terms of gold per minute, now Void, who was sitting quite a bit ahead of Sven, has been eclipsed, because the Sven is starting to get the kills that he needs. He went from 0-4 to 3-4, and he hasn't died. And now Loda is starting to get scarier and scarier. He's got this armlet, he's got his lifesteal, he's got his BKB, and he has Chrysalis. So when he crits, he's already killing Void in essentially 4 or 5 hits when he doesn't get any backtracks. So that's an incredible digit of what if he happens to crit during that period. It's really a situation where Fnatic earlier might have settled for any old Chronosphere, now it has to be a Chronosphere that gets several targets. Now it has to be a black hole that gets several targets. Otherwise, they're just going to die from melee damage, even if they don't take the stuns. So even though this Void has BKB is going to help you too much when you're just taken straight up, you're just killed straight up by Sven. So they are going to go on Eternal Envy here. Great Static Storm. Great Shackle. Not a great black hole. He does manage to get Loda, and the Chronosphere is up. So actually, this combination was enough to shut down Loda. We've got the Vacuum. Great stun on Era. They do manage to pick off Loda, though. We've got a buyback from Disruptor. Lina goes down. The Bear goes down. So trouble for S4 as well. He one-shots No Tail. He's going to get glimpsed. He does not get glimpsed. And he's still alive. But he manages to get away. Great Blink. So that was also an incredible fight. Pretty much comes out even, and they actually do end up getting Loda, so that's definitely advantageous to them. They're going to try to rush off that, maybe? No, they decided that they're not quite safe enough to rush. One thing that's interesting to look at is JK's build here. He's actually still on tier 1 boots, and that's because he needed these additional items so much. He really wanted this Ghost Scepter, so to make sure that he can sort of get his spells off and not get picked off by the Sven, because the Sven just simply won't be able to attack him. And, in addition to that, he has this other sort of don't hit me item that he picked up, which is that he also picked up the Blade Mail. So the Blade Mail returns a damage that you take to the unit. So if Sven is attacking Undying, he can just pop the Blade, or if TA is attacking Undying, he can pop the Blade Mail, and now your Sven and your TA, who still aren't that tanky, Sven is with the armlet, but they're just going to take a lot more damage. So now, the shoes on the other foot as far as Roche goes. No Tidehunter are picking off these wards here. They're going to pick off this ward. And now they are going to go for the Roshan. I'm not sure how much Fnatic can do about this. Their black hole's still down. I don't think their Chronosphere is down, but JK's in a lot of trouble here. He's definitely scouting this out. I don't know how much they can do about picking off this. We got Loda coming in. He will probably pick up that Roche. Yeah, he's freed up the space for it already. And Fnatic are sort of out of sorts here, I think. They're not quite sure what they want to do, whether they want to go in and try to... They're not. It's over already. And we sort of see Fnatic in the same position where they're like, should we go in? And No Tail are following this immediately up with a smoke, so they're going to go in. No Tail pops his BKB. A little bit premature, actually. That won't prevent him from dying to TA. Good Chronosphere, but No Tail did almost nothing there, and the BKB did nothing for him. And Loda just cannot be stood up to by that first fight. But, oh, that Macropyre and Jakiro stun was excellent. Loda's going to die from the Macropyre damage. Okay, he's not going to die, but he can't... Oh, he is going to die. So he loses the Aegis. They only lose No Tail so far, and they managed to pick up the Aegis and Disruptor. So really good retreat from all the elements of Fnatic there, maybe excepting Enigma. So, you know, Trixie... Sorry, No Tail probably didn't need to waste a charge of BKB there. BKB goes down each time you use it in terms of the time that it actually lives for. So you could sort of deplete it down. He sort of depleted it all the way down to 5 seconds from its initial 10. So he probably didn't need to pop BKB. He could have sort of cast his spells and then accepted the fact that he was going to die. Instead he sort of died and just died. I think maybe he didn't know that they were going to try to turn that around. But one great story there was Sven's BKB ran out, or it was on cooldown actually, and that Jakiro Macropire Ice Path combo basically did his entire health and damage. And you can see Fnatic's plan, so No Tidehunter's plan was, okay, when we hit all of our BKBs, suddenly our team is just vastly more effective. And now you see Fnatic's counter to that. Okay, they've got BKBs. What are we going to do? We're going to get Ghost Scepter on all of our supports. And so No Tidehunter's damage, which is almost all physical. It's the physical damage from the Lone Druid and his bear. It's the incredible physical damage from Sven. It's the physical damage from Templar Assassin. Our counter to that is, okay, we'll all get Ghost Scepters. And so we've got two Ghost Scepters already. We've got the Vladimir's Offering to sort of help this Void deal more damage and more lifesteal. You can see that because Void didn't go the Mask of Madness, he doesn't have that lifesteal to keep himself alive. So to help him out, Undying has decided to pick up that Vlad's, that support items, and he still hasn't picked up his tier 2 boots because all these items were just so much more important for him to get. So for Era, he now has lifesteal without having to spend an item slot for it, and he's going to go Butterfly. Butterfly is absolutely the correct item for him to go here. You know that he's going Butterfly because he has Eagle Song, and Eagle Song builds into 2 items. It builds into Ethereal Blade, which is a horrible item for Faceless Void because it makes him unable to attack when he has bladed. And there's Butterfly. Butterfly is an amazing item on Faceless Void. Even though he already has Dodge, the Dodge from Backtrack is actually, it's a different type of, it's called an HP regain, like it heals the amount of damage you would be taking. The upshot of the difference between Backtrack and Butterfly is that they basically stack. You can actually dodge hits and backtrack them, and it's rolled separately. Plus, the Backtrack can affect magic, whereas the Butterfly cannot, but evasion against Sven is amazing. He needs that. He needs both the chance to backtrack Sven's damage and the chance to dodge Sven's damage to actually stand up to him in a one-on-one fight. Otherwise, Sven will just rip him apart. And now you can see the pushing power of the Lone Druid with No Tidehunter securing the tower down here. Meanwhile, Fnatic are continuing to press the issue. Actually, they decided not to. They just wanted to get these ports back here. Fnatic really want to start gaining some measure of map control again, because they have almost none right now. They no longer have control of this area. We have actually got a ward here, and we've just had the last tower taken down here, and this is where No Tidehunter have gotten a lot of farm already. They still definitely, this Ancient Camp continues to be Sven's plaything to sort of get as much farm as he wants. He has ditched the Midas, actually. So he's like, okay, now I'm getting to the point where I feel comfortable. He might finish off this Daedalus now, which will give him even more crit. He's got double damage rune on him. We'll probably won't see a fight before that double damage expires, but that is truly hilarious to watch, is the Sven with the double damage. He's actually not going to finish the Daedalus. He's going to go Heart. So Sven is not feeling quite tanky enough. I think that Macropire sort of showed Loda just how much damage he can still take in this fight, in these fights. So he is going Heart of Tarask. Or, is he going to go Satanic? He might go Satanic. So 2 options to make your Sven tankier. One is Heart of Tarask, to just give him a ton of HP and HP regen, and just be like, okay, I'll live through everything. And the other is Satanic. It's, okay, I can pop my BKB and just deal a ton of damage, and Satanic will give me the maximum lifesteal I can possibly get in the game, and that will just get me all the money back, the health back that I might be losing. So he could go either way. It'll be interesting to see what he ends up going with. I still think he might go Heart. He might finish his Heart first, but he could go either one. And then after that, he'll probably finish the Daedalus as well. So, and now we've got a Silk Cuirass finished on Bulldog. So Bulldog's managed to catch up. We see that the net worth graph is, we've got Faceless Void, obviously. He's what Fnatic are relying on. But then we have the 3 heroes of No Tidehunter. So what we sort of talked about, this triple threat, they finally at 38 minutes are feeling like, okay, these guys have the farm that we need. We have that farm. And so we've got the farm on Loda. Obviously, Loda's just doing amazingly. He does finish the Satanic, so he's going to be life-stealing as much as possible. We're going to have a fight here. Era jumps in. He's going to Chronosphere. There might be an early Chronosphere, honestly, but they are going to get S4. So S4 is down, but Loda's in the back. They pop the Ghost Scepter. They pull everybody in with Vacuum, but now there's so much damage coming out from Loda. Era can't fight this. They've got the Static Storm up. They take down Trixie with inside of it. Loda's still running. Loda's still taking damage, but so much lifesteal. Oh, he goes down from Era. Era manages to get smart and get in there. However, JK wasn't enraged to give him lifesteal from the Vlads, so Era goes down as well. So 3-2 so far, and JK gets picked off in the back. He ports out. Excellent teleport. Right after he gets proc the stun from the bear, he manages to get out because they have no more stuns to follow it up with. They're actually, when they don't have Sven and they don't have Lina, they don't have any stuns at all except for this proc from the Lone Druid. So amazing timing of JK there to jump out with that portal, and they managed to escape without doing any worse in that fight than they already were. They did actually use the black hole, and they used the chronosphere. I think I have to call into question the use of that chronosphere there, because okay, they got the jump on them, but they only got S4 in it, and S4 is very important, but he's nowhere near as important as Loda right now. Look at these items. So S4 just has his phase boots and his BKB and his blink. So he's mobile, he's survivable, but how much damage does he do? Not really that much, other than him being level 19. Compared to Loda, who has Satanic, Armlet, Black King Bar, and Chrysalis, the fact that Loda did not go hard and went Satanic instead means that you really, really, really want to Chronosphere actually him or Black Hole. Because if you get him in a Black Hole or Chronosphere, he's not going to be life-stealing anything because he's not dealing any damage. So he's the one you really, really want to disable because you want to kill him before he can sort of deal all that damage. Internal enemy manages to escape by planting a defensive static field. Very smart. It sort of blocks off this entire staircase here so they can't chase him. They still try to, but good Templar Assassin trap pop there manages to slow people down so they can't actually do it. So, meanwhile, Bulldog is just continuing to farm, and this Assault Cuirass is a great item for No Tidehunter as well. As we've talked about, No Tidehunter are a physical damage-focused composition. So, this Assault Cuirass, which gives armor reduction for the opposing team in an aura, attack speed in an aura, and armor in an aura, is exactly what they want. They can survive more against the Faceless Void, even when they're under Chronosphere. They can attack faster, and they can reduce the armor of their targets. So that'll just reducing the armor is going to be great in conference with this Sven. He's just going to be able to deal more and more and more damage. I think Fnatic really have to focus not on disabling S4 at the beginning of fights, but on disabling Loda. I think Loda must be the target, and if they don't kill Loda, the best they're going to come away with is a sort of draw, like they came away with in that fight. They are not going to come away with winning a fight unless they're able to disable and kill Loda early, and that's going to become more and more difficult if he decides to go hard after the Satanic before he finishes his Chrysalis. I think he might finish Chrysalis, but we'll see. Sorry, before he finishes Daedalus, which is the upgrade from Chrysalis. And meanwhile, S4 is trying to catch up now. So he has a big nest egg, even though he's died several times. Even though he's, what is his record? 5-5. He has 5k gold, so he will certainly be building out items soon. I think he might go for something like MKB, which is sort of would be a forward-thinking item, knowing that the Void is going to go Butterfly in all likelihood. Yeah, he is going to go MKB. So he's built this Demon Edge. That's almost certainly going to be an MKB. He's not going to go that Desolator, which is sort of the mid-game Queen of Pain, Templar Assassin item, because it's just way too late for that. It's already 41 minutes in, and he's behind enough on farm. What he's going to do is he's going to finish the MKB right now. Yep. So Monkey King Bar, among its other effects, gives you good damage, but more importantly, it gives you True Strike. So True Strike will make sure that your attacks do not miss. And so, okay, Void has Butterfly, it's finished now, but my True Strike will go through it. So as long as I survive, I will be able to True Strike. Now, S4 hasn't been surviving, but we were just talking about maybe they should let him survive a little longer. Now that calculus becomes a little more difficult. Now it's no longer quite as clear. I mean, it's still pretty clear, but it's less clear that the way to go is to leave Loda up. And you see, Loda actually went the Talisman of Evasion. So they are recognizing that more and more, the only damage they need to worry about from Fnatic is Faceless Void. And Faceless Void is going to deal all of his damage physically. So now Evasion becomes very, very useful for them as well. And because they know that Faceless Void just finished his Butterfly, he's not likely to pick up an MKB anytime soon. He might go MKB when he sort of sees that No Tidehunter are picking up dodge items, but for now, he's still quite a bit away from it. They have timed this rush, they know it's going to come up, and I think Fnatic are going to try to seize this rush on very, very quickly. But very, very smart from Sven. We could actually see him go for his own Butterfly. There are other options. Talisman of Evasion also builds into Halberd. Yeah, so he could go Halberd. Heaven's Halberd is an interesting strength item. We don't see it as often, but we could see it just in furtherance of the idea that, okay, their only damage from Void is physical. We can use Halberd to disarm Void for 4.5 seconds, which goes through BKB, and then he won't be able to deal any damage for that entire time. It's like a reverse Ghost Scepter. I mean, it's like a Ghost Scepter in the sense that now your entire team is immune to that character's physical damage for 4.5 seconds. So that would be very, very, very strong. So I think we might see Loda build that Halberd. Miss on the Ice Path here. Loda has BKB'd. They need to disable him. They need to disable Loda. They can't because... Oh, they do manage to Black Hole Loda, but they're still under the Static Storm here. Era isn't able to Chronosphere. He does end up Chronosphering. But Loda has so much HP. He uses the entire time just to kill Loda, and they've already lost 2 heroes and more on the way. Era is disabled. Era is going to go down for S4. We got the great Blade Mail from JK there. JK manages to kill S4, but now S4 gets a double kill there. Void is going to buy back and run right back into this fight. JK manages to get a double kill. Amazing play from this Undying. This Ghost Scepter and this Blade Mail have been so effective for him, but now he's being still chased by Admiral Bulldog. Admiral Bulldog denying space here. That is his main role here. Deny space. Try to prevent No Tidehunter from jumping in and getting this Roche, because Sven is nowhere near buyback. He just bought this Talisman of Evasion to survive these fights. S4 just bought his Monkey King bar. He can't buy back either. So Bulldog eventually has to retreat, but the idea is, okay, I have to deny this Roshan. That's the entire reason we went in here, but they're not quite able to do it. So Era does have to buy back. He spends a ton of money to do that, and he won't have buyback for a while, but he picks up the Roshan, and he is actually is he the sole Midas carrier still? Do we still have Midas on No Tidehunter? Yeah, so Bulldog actually sold off his Midas. So the last Midas carrier is Void. He's still saying, okay, I gotta outcarry these guys. I gotta get more farm. So Admiral Bulldog, interestingly, picks up a Sanj. Sanj is used in Sanj and Yasha, which I don't think he'll build. I think he's also going to go Halberd. So definitely one of Admiral Bulldog or Sven or Loda will go Halberd. No question about it. I think this Sanj is really most likely going to get built into a Halberd. I still think this Talisman of Evasion could be built into a Halberd, but perhaps they're going to build the Halberd on No Tidehunter to just make sure that their Sven is able to get more and more damage. Because Butterfly is worth a lot more damage than Halberd is. Halberd is more of a support item, so maybe Loda was considering it, and then Admiral Bulldog was like, no, I'll build the Halberd. You just go damage. Make that Butterfly. Give yourself attack speed. Give yourself armor. Give yourself damage. Just get in there, deal more damage if you can. So definitely interesting play there. I wonder if that was I don't know. I don't know if Sen always intended to build Butterfly. Maybe he did, but certainly for whatever reason, Admiral Bulldog realized that yeah, we need Halberd, and I think that's absolutely correct. They do need Halberd. They do need to shut down Era. In that fight, they got an ideal delay on the Chronosphere. They fully blocked Era in with the kinetic field and with the static storm from Disruptor. So that was a full 5-second silence during which they could have tried to take down Era, but they couldn't. And when he came out, he was able to Chronosphere, and he was able to kill off Loda completely during that. Now, he didn't do anything else during that. That entire time was spent killing Loda, but still, it was enough for them to come away with a sort of draw on the team fight, and an advanced draw, because in the sense that Void was able to buy back and immediately pick up the Roshan. So Aegis is going to be great for them. And JK is just becoming more and more useful in these fights. He's 5-2. It's very difficult to kill him now, because he's got this Ghost Scepter to prevent it. Oh, and they're in on Loda again. That was an amazing time walk, and completely missed Static Storm. Loda's going to die. Loda gets taken down. He still doesn't have buyback, I think. He does not have buyback. That's a world of pain. They lose the Disruptor. Trixie does get stunned here. Admiral Bulldog is able to escape again, but he was just slightly out of position there. He has finished the Halberd, so that's great. But S4 is going to go down. There's no way that S4 lives through this. He might be able to kill Trixie. He will not. That is huge. That is huge. They still can't buy back on they were not able to get enough farm since that last team fight to actually get buyback on their critical heroes, and that's going to be Rax. Lina and Admiral Bulldog, as farmed as he's getting, and with his Halberd, cannot do it. And that's that amazing range on Time Walk there. That was just, Era was brilliant. And you can see, they shifted their priorities. They saw that Chronosphering S4 was not giving them the teamfight wins that they wanted. So they were like, okay, let's Chrono Sven every time from now on. If we see Sven in a 1500 radius, we are going to jump in on Time Walk him, and we're going to fight right down there. We'll pop the Chronosphere. It doesn't matter if we don't get anybody else, because if we kill Loda, we will win the fight. And that's exactly what they did. They managed to win the fight there, and they take a seized command of the game. With 24 seconds and 42 seconds on No Tidehunter's two main heroes, there is simply no way that they're going to prevent. And you can see very, very tactical play there. They know that they have a limited amount of time. What are our priorities? First priority, tier 3 towers. Open up the Raxes for our mobs. Second priority, melee Raxes, because melee Raxes provide most of the creep wave. And only then, if we have time, and if our creeps can't do it themselves, will we actually go for the ranged Raxes. So they could very well mega... Oh, they may have overreached a tiny bit. No, Era is too strong. They're going to go for mega creeps. He is BKB'd. Oh, they decide to pull back. Right from the brink, they pull back because Loda's up, and he is terrifying. They do have Chronosphere cooldown. They may try to turn this around. JK pops his ult. They are going to go in. They're going to go in on Loda. Loda's in a lot of trouble now. It looks like he's doing well, but they pop the black hole, and now they're going to pop Chronosphere right at the end of it. They can't. He actually gets blinked back. He gets glimpsed, but he pops Chronosphere, and now Loda will die, and that will be the game right here. Era is not disabled enough to prevent him killing off Loda. That is huge. JK is still alive. He is 7-2, hugely tanky. Finally has his tier 2 boots. Era will lose his Aegis, but he still can come right up from that and do more damage. And No Tidehunter also need to mind the fact that they're down 5 Raxes. If Era can just jump in, he's actually going to run for the Rax. No, he decides to blink out. Oh, what a clever play. He's going to kill Aki in the back foot. He does kill Aki. He's going to go down, but not before dealing just a tremendous amount of damage. And he can still buy back. He actually chooses to buy back. Flamish Deckle is going to get out. Amazing Ice Path. Stuns. Oh. A little too much damage for him to actually survive through that entire fight. But he had the right idea. Ice Path, and then if Ice Path gives me enough time, I will pour it out. And if I can't, then that's life. And actually, there was just enough damage to sort of kill him immediately after that. He didn't have the Ghost Scepter. So Flamish Deckle does go down. Very, very bloody fight. In terms of actual kill output, I think the balance didn't change. Like, I think both teams killed each other a lot, but not so much that it was the end of the game. But Fnatic comes away from that fight in the end with an almost insurmountable lead. No Tidehunter are down to 1 Rax sub-mega creeps. That means every single one of these creeps on the Radiant side are vastly more powerful than the creeps coming in on the Dire side. And they're going to have to spend almost all of their effort just preventing these lanes from pushing in. There is not a single lane in which Fnatic doesn't have super melee creeps. And those melee creeps and range creeps are worth less gold. So now, even though No Tidehunter has this triple threat of Lone Druid and Sven and Templar Assassin, all pretty well farmed, it's going to be very, very difficult for them to get their 6th items or whatever. It's going to be difficult for Templar Assassin to fill this out with some very, very high-ticket item. It's going to be difficult for Sven to finish his Battle Fury. He actually is going Halberd as well, so they want that 9 seconds of disarm on Era, which is correct. I mean, how much damage has Era been putting out? Just tremendous quantities of damage. So it's quite interesting that, you know, they are going double Halberd. They still don't feel confident enough with that single Halberd that that'll disarm Era for long enough that they can actually win a fight on the back of that. So they're going to go for 2 Halberds. And the problem with this is now Loda is definitely not going to buy back. You will just not see him buy back in this game. They are going sort of for a last-ditch effort push here, I think. I think they want to counter these Raxes. And they really want to divert attention from this last Rax here, because if they lose their last Rax, it's over. Or it's going to be very, very difficult for them to come back. The super creeps are only the 2nd tier of creeps that is possible to have. You can actually have mega creeps when you kill all 6 of the Raxes on the opposing team, and once they have mega creeps are so strong that you just need to divert 99% of the attention of your team to actually getting those mega creeps down, and consequently you can no longer really do anything except just kill mega creeps, and it becomes nearly impossible to come back from that. So definitely No Tidehunter don't want that, so they do have to exert some effort to defense. But here comes Era. He is not disarmed. He's taken out the 2 possible disarms from the other team. They do use the disarm, so you can see he's not dealing any damage now, but Lotus still manages to die in the back foot. Oh, that was a bit of lag. Fistlefoot actually finishes his MKB, so now he has True Strike. Now they're killing S4. S4 is going to go down. Loda's down. Neither of them have buyback. Admiral Bulldog's going to die, and it's over. I don't think Admiral Bulldog can buy back. No buybacks on these 3 heroes. Actually, nope, no buybacks. S4 is just slightly short of his buyback. No Tidehunter loses everyone. I think this is going to be game. Even just these creeps are enough to take down this Rax, and with No Tidehunter unable to buy back, they do call GG. Very, very exciting game. We started out with Fnatic taking complete control, and then we sort of see No Tidehunter just being very, very patient, very careful, and playing very well, and realizing, what is our game plan? This is what you have to ask yourself when you're playing Dota. What is our game plan to win? And what can we do, even from an unfortunate position? This is just Galavian, but my fantasy league. What can we do from an unfortunate position to take it back? And they did the exact correct thing. We'll get the BKBs, and we'll get the Radiants, and that is when we'll fight. And they timed it so well that they were just about to start losing Rax at that point, and they managed to delay the game another 30 minutes before they actually lost after that. So eventually they do lose because Era gets too big and Fnatic start disabling the right characters with that amazing Chronosphere play. But No Tidehunter managed to play very, very well, and all credit to them for taking what was turning into a bad situation and getting a number of incredibly good fights out of it, and really just, you know, eking everything out of this game that they could. All right, I'm going to take a long break. That was quite an intense game.